So there's some news on the carbon tax front, especially here in the province of Alberta. Now, folks might remember that the current NDP leader of Alberta, Naheed Nenshi, has been super coy on the idea of a provincial carbon tax here in Alberta. And of course, this question needs to be answered because it wasn't so long ago that the former NDP Premier Rachel Notley imposed a provincial carbon tax here in the province of Alberta. So the question always becomes, okay, what if the federal carbon tax were scrapped? What happens in Alberta then? Do we get a provincial Alberta carbon tax? Now, Premier Danielle Smith is on the record repeatedly with her opposition against the carbon tax, saying there will be no provincial carbon tax here in the province of Alberta. But interestingly, NDP leader Naheed Nenshi hasn't said one way or the other. Journalists have tried and tried to nail him down on this issue, and he just evaporates into a cloud of orange smoke. Until now, we think. So this is an article by David Staples. It's in the Edmonton Journal. And for folks who are keeping an eye on the idea of a carbon tax in Alberta, I strongly encourage you to check it out because he gets Nenshi on the record a bit more firmly. And I say a bit because it's still kind of squishy to me. I'm going to read this out to you, okay? Nenshi says, quote, "If there's a Liberal government, there will be a consumer carbon tax. So the debate in Alberta is, do you stick with the federal carbon tax plus rebate program, or do you create a made in Alberta one, like Rachel Notley did? And I don't think there's any appetite for a made in Alberta one. I certainly don't have any appetite for that." He goes on, quote, "If we have a federal conservative government, and there's no federal carbon tax. The federal Liberals mishandled this file so badly that there's no public appetite for a consumer carbon tax. And there'd be no reason for us to push hard on that." See what I mean? That's still a bit squishy. He's saying that he doesn't have an appetite for it if there's a Liberal government. And he's saying if there's a conservative government, that the Liberals just really mishandled this file super badly. That doesn't let me sleep a lot sounder at night when it comes to the idea of ruling out a provincial carbon tax in the province of Alberta. So here's a solution. We should use the Taxpayer Protection Act here in Alberta to shield Albertans against any future provincial carbon tax. So as of right now, the Taxpayer Protection Act is great. It is what has been shielding us against a PST. We have no sales tax here in Alberta. Why? Because we have the Taxpayer Protection Act. That would require a government to hold a referendum and hear from the people before it would be allowed to create a sales tax in Alberta. And shocker, we don't have a sales tax in Alberta because it's super unpopular. Further, Premier Smith has gone many steps further. She has altered the Taxpayer Protection Act to prevent any tax increases of existing taxes without a referendum. That's really good, but she should go one step further. Albertans shouldn't have to depend upon the feelings and appetites of any future government here in Alberta. Doesn't matter which party they're representing. She should use the Taxpayer Protection Act to shield against a provincial carbon tax in Alberta.